वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः।
अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः।
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
न त्वेवाहं जातु नासम्
न त्वेवाहं जातु नासम्
न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः
न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः
न चैव न भविष्यामः
न चैव न भविष्यामः
सर्वे वयमतः परम्
सर्वे वयमतः परम्.
The second shloka of the Gita teaching, that is started from the 11th shloka onwards. The 11th shloka, Ashochan Anvashochastam iti. He told that, hey Arjuna, you are grieving for those who don't deserve to be grieved, because your sorrow is not legitimate, either with regard to Atma or Anatma. For Anatma, the sorrow is, with regard to Anatma, sorrow is not legitimate. It doesn't deserve. Why? Because it is Anatma. Because it is Anatma, therefore subject to coming and going, subject to changes, continuous changes, therefore doesn't deserve grief. What about Atma? Atma is never born. Never born, therefore never dies. So what comes and goes is only the Anatma, the only change is only for Nama Rupa, which is not real, which is Mithya. So you cannot worry about Mithya, because Mithya means that subject to change. It cannot remain as it was. So it is subject to change. That which is subject to change is Anatma. Changing, we create this changing, that Vikaraha. Vikaraha is the nature of Anatma, and Avikaratvam is the nature of Atma. Therefore, with regard to both, you need not grieve. And he said, we all existed. You, me, and all the Janadipaha. We all existed before, we exist now, and we will continue to exist. So we all, therefore, in Bhagavad, Aham, Tvam, Ime Janadipaha. Therefore, a doubt may come here. How many Atmas are there? Are there many Atmas? If there are many Atmas, then it is subject to limitation, because they are many. One will limit the other. Therefore, limitation is samsara, therefore samsara. There will be competition. Therefore, each Atma, if there are many Atma, each Atma is conditioned by the presence of the other Atma. And therefore, each Atma, one they strive to become something better than the other. Therefore, samsara, wanting to become something, that is samsara. So if atmas are many, there will be taratamya, there will be gradation. Many are there. So therefore, many same means there cannot be many. Many but same, then there is no manyness. If there are many and same, it is ekam eva. There are many and that manyness, being many is shashvata, it is permanent, then it is a contradiction. Then it is a contradiction. Jivatma, Paramatma, the difference. It is all that itself is samsara. Veda itself is samsara. Then what to talk about the atmas being many in number? Because here, vayam, na ime janadipaha tvam agam, and ime. Therefore, we all, vayam, we all is there. We all, Bhagavachanam. Therefore, doubt comes. Are the atmas many? With regard to the sharirams are many. With regard to the shariram, the atma appears to be many. Sharirams are many. Upadis are many. Namarupa, the shariram is many. They are many. As though confined by the sharira, atma seems to be many. Like the space, as though conditioned by the parts, appears to be many. Similarly, atma also. Therefore, here Bhashyakara makes an important note. Atmas are not many. Shankaracharya makes this important observation here in the last line of his commentary. Bhashya, Dega Beda Anuvritya Bhagavachanam. Bhagavachanam is in keeping with the difference in the bodies, many bodies. Na Atma Veda Vipraya, not with regard to Atma. The plural has been used here with reference to the various bodies, not with reference to one Atma. Atma is Ekam. The people standing before Krishna and Arjuna all had different physical bodies. Only from the standpoint of the physical bodies, there is plurality, not from the standpoint of Atma. The Atman, in the grammar, Atman Shabda is declinable, and there it has Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam, Bhagavachanam. But Atma meaning Sachit Ananda Atma, that cannot be many. Atma only Ekam. There is no second Atma. So therefore, Atma Veda Viprayena na. There are no differences in Atma. It is not that a Krishna Atma existed, an Arjuna Atma existed, and other Atmas existed, and all of these, having existed before, will continue to exist forever. That is not the contention here at all. Atmas are not many, there is only one Atma. Atma that is not subject to time, it is not subject to time, not subject to place, which is Purnam when we say. How can there be many Atmas? Atma that is not subject to time. Nitya Atma. Atma Nityaha. It is Satyaha. Trikale Tishtati. Atma is Nityaha. Therefore, being without form and attributes can only be one. Atma is Nityaha. Atma is Satyaha. It is Purnaha. When we say, then it can be only one. Anitya can be many. Anitya, that which is subject to time, means anything that which has a form with attributes, with an upadhi. Anitya Atma is Anatma. Only then can it be subject to time. But an Atma that is subject to time is not the Atma at all. We are not talking about. Atma is the very basis, the adhisthana of time, and therefore it is not subject to time. Because it is not subject to time, therefore it is Nityaha. The word Nitya is used to show that Atma is not bound by time. It doesn't come, doesn't go. Immortal. Doesn't have Marana. Nityaha. Ever existent. That is Atma. What about the forms? You cannot say the forms are ever existent. No, if it is ever existent, then forms are not really forms. It has to be Atma. Because the forms, upadhis are many, there are many people, whereas the Atma is one whole consciousness, Chaitanya, not bound by time. In that consciousness alone, in my mind, your mind and any other mind. All the minds exist in that consciousness. Mind is also upadhi. Mind is also upadhi. As the bodies differ, so also the minds differ. These minds differ as do the bodies. When we count, the bodies are many, but not from the standpoint of consciousness, chitta. Thus, what is necessary is the negation of a notion. Instead of telling Arjuna that Atma is Nitya, thereby creating a concept in his mind, Krishna removed the notion of his being time bound, not bound by time. Agam Nityaha means not with reference to body, it is with reference to Atma. Agam Nityaha, what about the other? Agam Atma Nityaha, others also Atma, therefore Nityaha, therefore Atma Ekaha. When we are told that Atma is eternal, we think of Atma as having a long, very long life. Here, instead, the concept of Atma being time-bound is knocked off. It is negated. There was never a time when I, you, or anyone else was not. Nor will there be a time when we will not be. Atma being timeless. Since you cannot cry for the timeless, Atma is not a cause for sorrow. It is Ashochya, therefore Ashochya. Not bound by time, therefore Ashochya. It doesn't deserve grief. Na shochya yogyaha atma. Anatma alone is subject to change. It is anitya. Even if you want to stop this present second, you cannot, because it is already gone. Therefore, crying for anatma is foolish. Therefore, both atma or anatma, therefore, are ashochya. They don't deserve grief. Na shoka yogyaha. Anything time bound is always time bound. You cannot expect constancy from something whose nature is change itself. If you are agreed or sad because something that changes by nature is non-constant, what you need is proper understanding of the nature of Atma and Anatma, neither of which is a matter for sorrow. Either way you take it, this fact remains. Therefore, the first line of the previous verse becomes increasingly true. Gatasun nanu shochanti panditaha. Gatasun agatasun. With regard to them, panditaha na anushocanti. That is first line of the previous. That is ashochya nanushochasvam. Pragyavadamsha bhashase. That is the first line. The first line of the previous verse becomes increasingly true. Ashochya na shocha na shoka yogyaha becomes increasingly true as our understanding of Atma and Anatma increases. About the constancy of Atma Nityaha. So that is being said in the 11th shloka, 12th shloka, and it is further said, Atma is Nityaha, not subject to change, because not bound by time. Not bound by time means not bound by space, kala, desha. Therefore, it is constant. Sri Krishna provided an example, Bhagavan provided an example in this verse, the following shloka, to help Arjuna understand how Atma is always the same and never changes. Shloka number 13. So, in all these verses, Atma is Nityaha. So, the Nityaha that is conveyed through these shlokas, Nityaha meaning not bound by time. Therefore, you don't have to grieve, hey Arjuna. That is the idea. Let us read the 13th shloka. Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Kaumaram yauvanam jara.
Kaumaram yauvarnam jara.
Tatha dehantara praptihi.
Tatha dehantara praptihi.
Virastatra na mukhyati.
Virastatra na mukhyati.
Deginaha plus asmin. Sandhi, what we have been seeing. This deginaha, deginosmin. Similarly, dehantara praptihi plus dhiraha plus tatra dehantara praptir dhiras tatra iti. We split. Repa is therefore praptihi. In the place of visarga, in the place of repa is praptihi. when you split, now no sandhi happens, not in the place, no sandhi. Praptihi dhiraha tatra, dhiraha plus tatra, dhiras tatra. Iti. Anyway, so here a drishtanta is given. Yata as Deginaha, Degaha asya asti iti Deginaha. The one who resides in the body, dwells in the body, who has the body is called Deginna. Nakaranta Shabda. Dehi, Degino, Deginaha, Bhagavachanam. Dehi, Degino, Deginaha. Here Deginaha is Shashti Bhakti. Deginaha, for the indweller of the body. Deginaha, the form is in, it is in 4 places. Prathama Bhakti, Bhagavachanam, Dvitiya Vibhakti Bhagavachanam, Panchami Ekavachanam, Shashti Ekavachanam. Here Shashti. Teginaha, for the one who dwells, who has the body or who dwells in the body. Asmin Dega, in this body, Kaumaram is Kumarasya Bhavaha, childhood. Yauvanam, youth. Then Jara, old age. Tata, Dehantara Prapti, Anya Deha Prapti, gaining another body. Tatra, with reference to that, Dhiraha na mukyati, Dhiraha na shochati na mukyati. Dhiraha means Viveki. Viveki, Atmanatma Viveki, na mugyati, na deluded. Just as how for an indweller of this body, that is Jiva, there is childhood, youth, old age, so too, is the gaining of the other body. The Jiva which dwells in the body. The Jiva, for the Jiva, only this childhood, youth, old age. Jiva means Jiva, that just the body. So with reference to body, the Jiva has childhood, youth, old age, and after that, Maranam, gaining another new body. Therefore, with reference to that, a Jnani, a informed person, Viveki, doesn't come to grief. Where does the person Jiva exist? The Jiva, the one who makes the body conscious, is the indweller of this body. Jiva, one who makes the body conscious. Because of him, the body is conscious. Jiva. Jiva Swarupa is Atma. In other words, Jiva referred to in this verse as the Degi is nothing but Atma with the body, Atma with the Upadhi, body, mind, and senses. In this verse, Krishna referred to 3-fold states that the body undergoes, each of which is distinct from the other 2. For instance, in boyhood, there is no need for shaving, whereas in youth and adulthood, there is. Nor is a person likely to require a cane in either of these 2 states, unlike in old age. When childhood passes, does the one dwelling the body survive or not? He survives. If there were no survivor, an old man could not talk about his earlier exploits and accomplishments. His voice is certainly no longer the voice of his boyhood, having become very shaky due to the changes brought about by age. But the eye is same. The eye doesn't change. The eye is solid, not shaky. Thus, the one who was in childhood is the one who was in youth and is the one who is now. The eye doesn't change at all. As each state comes and goes for this eye, the eye remains the same. The eye remains the same, Atma remains the same. Although each state is destroyed, the Atma is never destroyed. The body is said to undergo a metamorphosis even every 7 years, but the person remains the same. The birth of a later state doesn't imply a new birth and a new life for the person, the Atma. Nor does death of the previous state spell death for the Atma. These states come and go, but Atma remains the same in a given body. So in spite of the metamorphosis, the Atma remains the same. It is not touched by the changes happening in the body. The same Atma sees all the 3 states, childhood, adulthood, and old age. One need only ask an elderly person what he or she had for lunch. In response to this simple question, an elderly man may start with his first marriage. The Atma is the same through all the experiences of life. Just as each of these states is taken for the Atma, another body also can be taken for Atma, even though Atma still remains the same. Just as our person doesn't remember his or her first 3 years, the same way previous lifetimes in other bodies are also not remembered, which is just as well, since there would only be that many more problems. If we all knew our own and each other previous births, We would be blaming people for those from those lifetimes, just as we do in this one. There would then be far too many situations and people to blame. Known or unknown Atma is the same, be it with reference to the first 3 years of this birth or to previous birth. It is same. Thus, from the standpoint of the Atma, there is no reason for sorrow born of such decimation. It is the same even from the standpoint of simple Jiva, the one who has a body. Where is the reason then for getting into a state of delusion that I will be absent at any time? The Jiva will continue with or without a body. Without a body, there is no problem. I am Atma, therefore timeless. As a Jiva, gaining a new body gives a new and better start. If you did not make proper use of the previous body, now you can make better use of the new one. So the body changes, Anatma changes, Atma I doesn't change. Therefore, Panditaha na anushocanti, the wise have no sorrow, they don't grieve. Because a wise person has the knowledge of Atma and Anatma, there is no question of he or she being sorrowful. Such a person knows that what doesn't change cannot be changed, and what changes cannot be stopped. When the facts are clear, there is no sorrow. The wise person is one who knows what is real, Atma, and what is unreal, Anatma. Further, Krishna said, 14th shloka, we'll read, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya
Matra sparshastu kaunteya
Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhadaha
Shitoshna sukha dukkhataha
Agamapayino Nityaha
Agamabhayino nityaha
Anstitikshasva Bharata.
Tam stitikshasva bhavarata.
So splitting sandhi jnanam is important. Agamapayinaha plus anityaha. Anityaha. Agamapayino nitya means problem. Even if without avagraha, we have to understand it is Purva Sandhi only. Akara is elided. Agamapayino nityaha we read. We don't read, but we understand I is there. Therefore, anityaha. What is anityaha? Anatma. Anatmas are many. Therefore, anityaha bhagavachana. Atma nityaha. Atma nityaha we don't say because ekaha eva atma nityaha. Anatma is many bodies, many minds. Therefore, anityaha agama payinaha. That is also bhagavachanam. Agama pagi, agama pagino, agama paginaha bhagavachanam. All are bhagavachanam. They are the Shitoshna Sukha Dukkadaha, Matra Sparshast Kaunteya. Sparshaha, contact with the sense objects. They are the provider, they are the one which gives rise to Chita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha, all these pairs of opposites, Dvandvas. Chitoshna, one pair. Sukha, Dukkha, one pair. Sukha, Dukkadaha. Sukham, Sukha, Dukkha, Shitoshnam Dadati. Sukha Dukkham Dadati. Not only that, all the other pairs of opposites are given. They are because of the contact of the sense objects with the sense organs. Therefore, they come and go. They are anatma. They come and go. Therefore, Tantatikshasva, may you endure them. O son of Kunti, the contact of the sense organs with the sensory world, which gives rise to cold and heat, shitoshna, pleasure and pain, sukha dukkha, which have the nature of coming and going, agama payinaha, they are anityaha, they are not constant. Therefore, endure them. So, sukham is anityam, dukkham also anityam only. There is no continuous, there is no nitya sukham, there is no anitya sukham. If sukham is nityam, that must be belonging to Atma, that is Atma. So Sukham is neither Nityam nor Dukkham also. Dukkham also Anityam. There is no permanent Dukkham. If Dukkham is permanent, then it cannot be Dukkham. You revel in Dukkham then, because there is no opposite to Dukkham. Therefore, Dukkham is Anitya. Sukham is also Anitya. All the pairs of opposites, they are Anitya. The presence of other limits the presence of one limits the other. Therefore, they are anityaha, they come and go. That is what constitutes the samsara, I guess. Therefore, you cannot change anatma. Being anatma, therefore, you cannot change. You have to endure them. You have to endure by understanding. Put up means you put up, you cannot change. There is no other way. You cannot change it. When you understand that, then the impact will not be there. So if you resist, there will be shoka. If you understand by viveka, then it cannot cause any dukkha because you know what it is. So given that the Atma never dies, Atma Nityaha, that has been told, that it always survives, as Krishna said, it seems that the sorrow caused by the death of a person is not reasonable and therefore not very legitimate. That there may be no sorrow for the person who knows the Atma to be eternal and Anatma to be non-eternal is also possible. However, in this life, sorrow does occur because of certain changes that take place. Situations don't go your way all the time. You don't call all the shots. Things keep changing, some of them favorably and many of them not so favorably. Some situations are pleasant, others unpleasant. That which is pleasant doesn't last, while the unpleasant seems to stick to me most of the time. There is therefore both pleasure, sukha, and pain, dukkha. The pleasant arrives and must pass away for the unpleasant to come. For instance, people begin to wail about winter long before it actually comes. As summer ebbs away, they wail about that too. Even when summer is there, it is going. Thus, when winter is not there, it is coming. And when it is there, it seems not to be going at all. Half the summer is gone because of clouds, and another part of it is filtered away by rain. When it is hot, it is too hot. Because the seasons keep on changing, we find that sukha and dukkha keep on occurring. The pleasant has gone and the unpleasant has come, accompanied by sorrow. The sorrow is not due to Atma going and coming, but purely because of the situational context. This being the case, is there not a legitimate sorrow? Let's not talk here about the nature of the sense organs and the sensory world. The sense organs, they are called by the name matraha. The sense organs, matraha, contact sense objects, sparshaha. Matraha meaning sense organs, sparshaha meaning sense objects. And these contacts, sparshaha, contacts give you the experience of cold, heat, pleasure, and pain, etc. Shitosha sukha dukkadaha. The knowledge that something is cold or hot produces a response that is pleasant, sukha, and that is unpleasant, dukkha. Cold can either be pleasant or unpleasant, and so can anything hot. For instance, you don't go to the fireside on a hot day as you would do when it is cold. Thus, heat is not always pleasant and cold is not always unpleasant. We find that there is a uniformity in our responses and also to a certain extent a universality. The world is one of opposites, dvandva, heat and cold, for example. And these opposites gives us pleasure and pain, sukha and dukkha. Categorically, we may say that certain situations make us happy, like a pleasant sunny day. At the same time, however, there are people who want rain so much that they are praying for it. Therefore, the rain that you don't want, someone else may be praying for. These then are our responses, which seems to give rise to sukha and dukkha, all due to the contact of the sense organs with the objects. One may argue that if contacting heat and cold gives rise to sorrow, perhaps we should avoid contact with sense objects. But how can we? Krishna did not say we have to avoid the contacts. We need only understand them. Most of our problems are like this. They only need to be understood. What is to be understood here is that the tendency to come and go is the nature of opposites, heat and cold, pleasant and unpleasant, and so on. If you keep on saying it is hot, a time will come when the heat will be gone. It is the same with the cold. Therefore, they are not constant. They don't remain for you to complain about. Even if you want them to stay, they will not. They are always in a flux, constantly changing. And this nature of the being in constant flux doesn't change. We cannot totally remove ourselves from the opposites or remove them from us. That is not to say one should not make an attempt to improve a situation. But if things must always be pleasant for you, Lord Krishna was making it very clear here that they would not be, because things are both pleasant and unpleasant. They're not always going to be as you want, nor are they always going to be unpleasant either. Physical pain or sorrow. If death is said to be incapable of causing you sorrow, where does that leave all of the other situations that seem to make you unhappy? The world can cause you some physical pain because the physical body belongs to the physical world. One physical entity can therefore hurt another. Arjuna's problem is not physical, it is purely sorrow, and shoka is a type of thinking. While physical pain is something to be endured and cured, sorrow is something you build on. Physical pain is not something that is totally avoidable. The body is subject to pain and it will be affected by one force or the other, the sun, rain, winter, and so on. And you can protect the body to the extent possible, but because it is anitya, constantly changing, it is subject to pain. That is the nature of the body. Sorrow, on the other hand, is something you build onto the pain because of a particular way of thinking. This is exactly where we have to change cognitively. Therefore, Krishna said, take every situation as it comes. Hey Arjuna, cheerfully, in your stride, with a sense of humor. Krishna later told Arjuna how these opposites cannot really do anything to you because by nature they have no independent existence apart from yourself, the Atma. There is some kind of lumping that occurs due to confusion between the orders of reality. The mind, senses, and the body have similar realities, whereas the Atma is of another order of reality, Vyavaharika and Paramarthika. When you say you are sad, you involve the Atma, I, in the sadness, as though the Atma belongs to the same order of reality as the mind, which does not. In this way, the Atma is taken to be Anatma and becomes one among the many. Because the Anatmas in the world are too many and so varied, we cannot cope with them all, even though they are all Anatma. Even the small bugs create so many problems, let alone the more powerful forces. If the Atma is really one among the many, nothing can be done. However, the vision is that the Atma is unlike any of them. Sorrow is not possible without Atma, I. Every time there is sorrow, it is because Atma is somehow involved. Mere mind with its thought processes cannot create sorrow. Therefore, ignorance is a cause for imputing sorrow to Atma. We'll stop here. What is there to worry about? That we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om
धन्यवादः।
धन्यवादः